sit and stand and wait and you wonder. You think maybe it's me and I'm being a fool. You sit and you stand and wait and you wonder. You think maybe it's me and I'm being a fool.
That's my vibe.
Kia, hello and welcome. Welcome to episode 10 of Here for the Shift. My name is Rachel and I am from the Beauties in Okemasis Cree Nation, and I'm coming to you live from Treaty 6 territory. And really excited for our guest today and to be talking about friendship with all the ladies. So thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Yes, hello everyone. Good evening, summer dawn. I am from the Digweño, and also known as Kumeyaay tribe, located close to Baja, and I am here in California. Also co-hosting with these beautiful ladies and excited for our discussion tonight regarding friendship. And introducing Poppy.
Tapausi Atika Tapasa Killabuk. Hello, my name is Tapsa Killabuk, and I'm an Inuk woman here not from here, but I live here in Monkinstis, Treaty 7, Calgary, Alberta. I'm a mom of 3, and I am 31. And I'm just I'm a deadly auntie. I'm bringing the auntie energy today. But I'm very excited for this show tonight because I get to bring on one of my bestest friends in the whole entire world. So I'm going to let you, Christina, please come here. Christina!
Hello!
I'll let you introduce yourself, Christina, and then I'll just talk about you.
So my name is Christina. I am also 31 years old. I am a mom of 3 and a full-time university student in education. And I'm also a hairstylist and have been for like 172 years.
Thanks, Christina. So Christina and I have been friends since probably, it's been 20 years, I think. Like it has to be by this time.
How old were we in grade 7?
Like 13, I think.
So like this is 19 years?
Yeah, so we've been in a relationship for 19 years. Which is amazing. So but it's like our relationship has grown since then. And I just remember like walking in the halls of our middle school with Christina and like we would hold hands. And I remember like I was in my period and I was like wearing a pad and I like went to pull a wedgie. She's like, "What are you doing? Taking for gold?" And I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever heard. And it's just been true love since that moment. Ever since then. So it's so great. And so thank you so much for inviting her into our space today, Rachel and Summer. And I think what we wanted to talk about after we drop our fingers, but to give you some context, we wanted to talk about like how, like as friends, we support each other through shifts. And Christina, like from the time that I was 13 to I am right now, she has supported me. Like I'm gonna cry like through so much.
Don't cry.
I've cried so much today. And I just think it's so wonderful. And I'm just like, what? Like, how did she do that? Why did she do that? And why not just ask her and then see what we have done for our friends and what we can learn. So. But before that, we're going to drop our fingers.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say too that Shay couldn't be here today.
Oh, yes.
So we are missing her. So let's all send her some love.
Love you,
We love
Shay.
you, Shay.
Miss you.
Okay. So Christina, we know
say.
you watch the show because you're always so active in our comment section and we love it. You know how to play the game, right? Christina?
I know how to play the game.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, I'm not going to really explain it again. But if you're watching and you haven't seen before, basically you can play along with us. Put your hands up, put your fingers up, and if this question is something that is a yes for you, you drop your finger. Very simple game. So I'm just going to bring up the oops, I forgot to change.
That's okay.
Okay, my bad. I forgot to change the thing on there to friendships, but it's been a fucking heavy few days, a really off week.
Heavy.
So,
Be heavy.
anyways, whatever. Let's play the game.
Okay.
Okay, so 10 fingers up. Drop a finger if you have lost a friend and reunited in the future. Drop a finger if you've been in a friendship longer than 10 years. Drop a finger if you've been in a friendship longer than 20 years. I think. I don't know. That's a good question. Drop a finger if you had or chose to leave a toxic relationship. Drop a finger if you called your friend's mom. Drop a finger if you have hung out with your friend's mom without your friend. Drop a finger if you and your best friends have made out with the same person.
I don't know, probably.
Drop a finger if you have matching tattoos with a bestie.
Almost.
Drop a finger if you have a friend you tell everything to. Drop a finger if you're here for the shift. Yeah.
This did. Does a therapist count as a friend?
Yeah, for
You
sure.
tell everything to?
For
Of
sure.
course.
Yeah.
I wonder, I think it's really important for us before we go forward to just acknowledge like what all of our Indigenous people have been going through in the last few days. I'm wearing my, there it is. I'm wearing my pin because every child matters. And I just hope that everyone is taking care of themselves through this really hard time. I don't know what that looks like, but to remind you to go for a walk, unclench your jaw, stay off social media if you have to, take a big breath through your nose, eat, get hydrated, drink some damn water, and just really love yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I have all the questions. So I think what we're going to start with is Christina, what are your favorite values in a friendship or in our friendship?
Specifically ours. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What I love when I have a hard time like not being myself. I'm a very like out there, blunt, like authentic person. Like that is one of my authenticity, I think, is one of my like biggest core values. It's just like be who you are and let people love you for that. And that's like exactly what you do, Tappy.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel? What are your fave values in a friendship?
I would totally agree. I think that I'm kind of the same way where I like that I can be myself and not be judged for the person that I am, and being my authentic self and being true to myself 100%, and then being accepted by the people that are like what you would consider your 100s, you know, like that are just there for you no matter what. They're not going to judge you. And I can only count them on 2 fingers. You know, I mean, I've had, like you guys met in junior high. I met my really good friends in 7th grade, and we've continued our friendship through. And I'm 41. And so I think we just did the math not that long ago, but we're like 27 years into our friendship. And there are two people have stuck around, you know, that you can say you can honestly be that authentic person with them, where you can speak your truth and not feel like you're going to be judged based on whatever feeling, emotion, thought, action, you know, they're going to be there for you. So yeah, I totally can relate to that 100%.
Rach?
Yeah, definitely. Like being able to be yourself is very important for me as well. I think trust is something that I really value. I didn't really trust a lot of people growing up. So when I had friendships that I was able to be myself with, you know, and then you can tell the difference between the ones where you can't really be yourself with, either you're kind of holding yourself back all the time. It just feels off, like there's not a lot of trust there. So I think that that's really important to me, because if I can't trust you, what the fuck's the point, you know, of being friends or having some sort of relationship. And I also value like just being able to support and love each other regardless of what we believe in. And so I have friends that are non-Indigenous, and I have friends that are Indigenous, and I have friends that don't believe the things that I believe, and I don't believe in the things that they believe in necessarily, but we can still love each other. And I think that's really beautiful too.
Yeah. I feel on that level, that's like a soul love for me. We're not looking at the person, you know, for the color or for the creed or for what they believe in, or, you know, and I'm looking at the person's soul and being able to love that person. I feel like nowadays it's a rare thing, when so many people there's so many different classifications. So, you know, you can, what you identify with, and people kind of hold that classification strongly, which is totally fine. But people can judge you against it, you know, hold that against you. And to be able to look past that and like have a soul relationship or a soul friendship with somebody, I think is so important nowadays. So I can relate to that.
Yeah, I love all of that. But I think another one, like for me, is like the big belly laughs, like the silliness, and I guess that's a part of like the authenticity.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just like, I have to be able to like share the same humor with my friends, and we just can be silly and, you know, like,
laugh till you cry.
Yeah.
Or you yourself.
Yeah. But I really liked what you said about trust. Because I don't know, like, I think a big part of that, of trust, it's not really gauged at a young age, especially, but it grows throughout the relationship. Yeah. And I like, how how do you think you develop trust with someone? Do you think it just comes naturally, or do you ever just like talk about it, or is it just it's a part of it?
I feel
I
like
think
it's something that comes natural.
I think it's like a feeling that I get. But then also have to be mindful if it's a reaction to somebody, because I'm reacting to something that might be something similar to a past experience, right? So if we haven't actually healed from something, it can show up in somebody else and reflect that back to us. So then it can be a reaction, right? And not necessarily like us truly tuning into our intuition. So, but that just comes with self-awareness, right? So it's like, I think I can trust people until I can't trust people, kind of thing. But I've also been called cynical before, which is like, and at the time I was like, well, yeah, why would I trust, the good? Why would I just trust people to show up in a loving way when I've had experienced so many experiences where that wasn't the case, right? So I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of that.
So, Christina, would you say that you felt like you trusted Tapi right away, or was it something that you felt like grew in your guys' friendship?
I don't remember. Like, I remember just becoming friends and just like loving each other instantly. Like, I don't ever remember. I don't think there's ever been a time that I didn't trust her. So I would say that it was an instant thing that just happened. In my adult life, I'm more of like I'm not going to trust you until you prove to me that you can be trusted. Like, so I think that if we met today, I would probably just, I don't know. I just think that you're very trustworthy, Tapasa. There's nothing not to trust.
Except for these shifty eyes. I can't open them. Yeah, that's cool. I love that.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a friendship unique?
It's like any relationship, like the connection that you have, the values that you share, and the values that you don't share. Like Tapasa and I don't see eye to eye on everything, but we respect each other as individuals. Like, even if she says something and I'm like, whatever, like, I still respect her as a human. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're wrong because you think differently of me. Like, I think that connection and the ability to just like appreciate someone for like every bit of who they are as a human is like essential.
Yeah. And then do you think so if people can't be that or show up as that in a friendship, which is also a relationship, then don't, kind of thing?
I mean, I am not that deep with every single one of my acquaintances. Like, I'm not talking about everything with every single friend I have. I am kind of like Summer. Like, I kind of have like two girls who are like my besties, but that doesn't mean they're my only friends. It just means that there's boundaries in other friendships that you just don't cross. Tappy and I still have boundaries when it comes to respect, but I don't really think we have boundaries when it comes to like topics. Like, I know that I can message her and talk to her about like legitimately anything, and she's never going to be like, you're weird, man. That just doesn't happen between us. But like, I'm not going to message like an acquaintance or like a work friend, which I work alone, so I don't even have but like, I'm not going to message like somebody that I'm not as personal with and be like, hey, Tappy, I have this, like, or hey, person, I have this question. I'm just going to message Tappy about it because I have those connections with people, but I don't need those connections with everyone, you know?
Yeah.
Like who has, I don't think I even have enough energy for that.
Oh, that's another thing. Like entertaining people. I will never, ever be in a friendship where I feel like I have to be like on stage. I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think at least for me, like I feel like I'm such a social person, so I have a lot of acquaintances, a lot of people that I still know from 7th grade, but I'm not like tight with, you know what I mean? But I still keep in contact with them, but they don't know all the ins and outs, you know? If I was saying all the people that know all my dirty little secrets and all my ins and outs, I would say it's 2 people. But, and then there's different levels of friendship, and that's based on my what I feel comfortable with, you know, whether it's based on just past history or just like I don't feel that type of connection with them, so it's what I allow them to know or how much I allow them to be a part of me. And but you know, and then I have like soul sisters. Like I would consider Rachel my soul sister. Like we're just on a different level, like where we had that instant connection, but we don't have years and years and years of history. But I can be very open with her and share things with her and say things that I know that she's not going to be like, okay, you're crazy. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know? And we can goofy laugh together and we can do crazy things, and I'm not going to judge her and she's not going to judge me. That didn't take 20 years.
No.
That happened I've only seen her in person twice. And so it's just crazy how a friendship and a connection can evolve. And I think that that's where I can recognize my different levels of a friendship that has grown through evolution, a friendship that has grown from years and years and years, and life experiences and challenges and ups and downs, or a friendship that can just grow because you have that genuine, instant, cosmic connection. You know, and I can say Rachel's one of them.
That's how it is with my other best friend. Like Tappy like grew with me, and then like my other best friend I met as an adult, and so she like just accepts me for who I am like now and loves me for who I am now. Tappy has like loved me through the process and through all of the toxicity that we've gone through together.
All of the shifts. All of the
shifts.
Yeah.
And I think they're so different. And so like on the question of being, how is a friendship unique? I think they're just so different in the ways that, you know, like how you've met, how you've carried on your friendship, what you've allowed to kind of be a part of each other's life, and like how you've grown, you know, and they're just so different and unique. And I feel like each one I value in their own special way. You know, and they're so important. I don't take advantage of my friendships, you know. I don't take the pureness of them, and I don't take the respect of them for granted. You know, like I feel like that's something that's so important, and it's rare. It's hard to find. So when you find it, hold on to those friendships, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I have one of my best friends. We have been friends for 27 years, about that. And you know, we've had a friendship where like we're very, very close. She was like family for me, right? So like I was at her house all the time. You know, I learned a lot about her family and her culture. She's Chilean, and that was like, she was like a sister to me. She is like a sister to me. And so, but we also had periods in our lives where we weren't really like in it all the time. you know, we weren't really calling each other all the time. We didn't see each other for months at a time. Then there's times we lived together. You know, it's just like this fluctuation of so many experiences where you can not have to always be engaging or always be like calling each other all the time or, you know, hanging out all the time, for it to be a healthy, loving, supportive, ongoing, you know, sisterhood and friendship. She currently lives in Qatar, like, you know, so sometimes I don't see her for like a year at a time. And I think that those friendships are really rare. But I really appreciate and value those kinds of relationships and friendships because we all have our own lives, right? We all have, you know, things going on and are creating things for ourselves. And so if you have a friend, like a good friend that you can like not talk to for a while and then come back and it's like no time has passed.
Yeah.
Right? It's that deep heart to heart, loving, authentic connection, then those are the ones that I personally live for. At this point in life, I'm like open to meeting new people and, you know, like vibing with people and shit and welcoming a lot of new things. But those are the things that I want. Like those are the kinds of things relationships and friendships that I want. I'm not interested in the small talk, like,
right,
and like whatever and that kind of shit. I don't know. That's just me. But
yeah.
Have you guys in your friendship had periods where you weren't really like, I don't know, talking much or hanging out much?
Yeah, we haven't actually seen each other in like a year. Well, a pandemic for one, but yeah, we haven't seen each other for a year, but we always try, like, I always try to connect with her like at least once a week. And if not, we'll go weeks without talking. But whenever we see each other, it's like instant like connection. Like we just started back from when we were 13 and we're just here together being silly or obnoxious or
singing
making
booty, 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 rocking everywhere. Running up and down the hallways.
Making her husband go buy us snacks, you know. But it's so funny because Christina, like I had Hannah and Lucas when I was young and like 19 and 20. I even forgot that I was 19 when I had Hannah, and Christina reminded me. But then I remember Christina had to, like, I called her because I didn't have anyone to pick me up from the hospital after I had Lucas. And she even came like the day before to bring me food. She's like, "What do you want?" And that she knows that I don't like asking for things, but she was just like, "What do you want?" And I said McDonald's. So she brought me McDonald's and we chatted and she held my baby. And then the next day I called her and I knew that I could and be like, you know what, I'm in a tough spot. I don't know how to get my baby home. And she just came and got me. But then it's funny because like I started off with 2 kids and then later down the road, a few years later, she ended up with a couple of kids the same age as my kids. So we were able to like
them. I just ended up with them. Just brought them home.
But and that was just so cool. So now we're just going through like the same stages of life together, I guess.
Well, and then I had a baby. So like I married my husband, inherited twins. And so then I had a baby and then Tappy had a baby. So like we legitimately are like living parallel lives, but like I didn't even have my kids. I met my husband when my kids were 6. And so, but they're the same age as Hannah, Tabby's oldest. So like we literally are and then like Lucas is like hanging on the back. But Ezra is like what, a year younger than
younger
Isla. And so we literally are just like our lives ended up in the exact same place, even though we both took completely different paths. It's wild. It's wild.
I think it was supposed to happen that way.
Oh, for sure. Because if I would have had my own kids when Tappy had her kids, I wouldn't have been able to support her through that.
Right.
And then if Tappy didn't have kids when I acquired the twins, then she wouldn't have been able to support me through that. She had all of the knowledge.
Yeah.
And we really supported each other, like through like those like new relationships. And even like when Berkeley like inherited Hannah and Lucas, like I could go to her because she was in that same position at one point where it's just like, oh my God, I have a couple more kids. What do I do? What's happening? And, you know, and we were able to bond and be for one another in that way. And that was so cool. I love how the universe works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good alignment.
Yeah, it is for sure. That's awesome.
So yeah.
My mom had posted something about what did she say about laughing?
Belly laughs.
Yes. Okay. So yes. Okay. So my mom was always the mom of like everybody. So my mom, all of my friends would always come over to the house. We'd have kickbacks, right? And my mom was the cool mom, and she would buy everyone beer and buy everyone cigarettes, which was totally bad because we're like 13, 14, 15, 16. Anyways. But I can't even tell you how many times we made her piss her pants. Like literally stand and pee herself because, you know, like you are genuinely just being, you know, goofy friends and making memories and enjoying yourself. I think it's so awesome that I have memories of my mom pissing herself because we just made her laugh. But I'm glad I have those memories too with my friends, you know, that those true film, you know, of laughing and just making memories and enjoying each other is so important.
So important.
I love that.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, Mom.
I know. I was like, I wonder if your mom like appreciates.
I know.
Oh, look.
It's making me belly laugh.
Because you guys did some crazy shit.
I know. We did. But you know what? She's part to blame. But you know what? I really appreciate her facilitating a safe space for us because she really did. She facilitated a safe space for us to be ourselves, to be authentic, to experiment, to, you know, grow into ourselves. Because guess what? When I was 19 or 21, I didn't have to experiment because I already did that. Like, I already had been there, done that. And I was able to do like real adult shit when I was that age. And because I did all that fuckery way early. But yeah, like a lot of laughs. And I think that that's something that I really do appreciate through my friendships, was just really being able to, you know, one, be myself, and then enjoy that company with some people that I consider to be true. And my mom was one of them. My mom was one of my besties and still is one of my besties.
Hannah.
She really wants to be a part of it.
Just trying to get in on the show.
It's funny that you say that, like, you know, your mom was doing, like, it was totally bad. And I remember being like younger and being like, my parents would never, ever, ever like let us do that. Like, they knew that we were doing it, but they weren't going to let us do it in front of them. But there was like one girl that we went to high school with, and her parents were those parents. And I always think, like, with my kids, it's going to be so important to me once the pandemic is over, to like not be that mom. Like, I don't want to be besties with my kids, but I do always want my kids to feel safe and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want them at somebody else's house. Like, did my parents know that I was going to her house to get drunk on the weekends when I was 14?
Right.
Like, I don't know. So, like, I want that happening at my house so that my kids are here with their friends. Like, and I want to make sure that them and their friends are safe. So, to say that your mom, like, did something totally bad, like, okay. But, like, at the same time, like, she did the most responsible thing she could because all kids do that.
Right. But I say it bad as in a good way, you know, and it
Yeah.
was, she would explain, like, I would rather you do it here because you're going to do it anyways, you know, you're going to do it regardless. So do it here. And we were like, okay.
Yeah, like Tappy and I always had to find somewhere else to get into trouble because her parents didn't like trouble and my parents didn't like trouble. And so we were always on the lookout for your mom.
Yeah, right?
We were in the woods.
Oh, you should have seen.
And
the
the
backyard was packed. We had like 20, 25 people. Like, oh my God. Like, it was crazy.
We would legit go into the woods and drink. And it's like, that is the least safe place.
Right.
That's fun. Or that was fun. I loved doing that when I was young. With friends.
Like when you're like,
with your friends.
Yeah.
Well,
and it was like, to be fair,
pit parties and bush parties.
Same.
Like that's what it was, right? But yeah, I guess it wasn't really the safest like shit at the time.
No, that sounds terrifying.
That's how I broke my two front teeth.
What?
To be fair, I wasn't with her when that happened. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened.
It was in the bush, and my freaking teeth went like this on a rock, and broke my two front teeth.
Was it the bush or was it the booze?
It was definitely the booze.
Donna says, I wanted to make sure I knew what they were doing. Plus, I feel I kept them alive.
Yeah, that's
you
perfect.
did. You did.
We love you, Mama Summer.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Mama Summer, Mama Callie.
So much. So many good memories though. But I appreciate you guys sharing and talking about your friendship because, you know, I feel like it's rare for, you know, to have a 10-year friendship, 20-year friendship, even longer than that. I feel like it's something that's rare and we should, you know, honor those friendships because they're so important. You know,
most of the time, I will say I had friendships like that, you know, with specific group of women, and it was toxic, guys. Like, and you know, I learned that in reflection to myself, you know, I was surrounding myself with toxicity in reflection to the toxicity that I carried within myself. So it was like they were mirroring all the shit that I didn't really like about myself, you know, and I had to kind of like see that in a different way. And then, but it was just wasn't like, there was a lot of like talking shit behind people's backs and a lot of drinking and partying, and you just didn't really know if you could feel safe with one person because then, you know, it's getting relayed. Anyways, long story short, some of those friends were friends for years since I was a child. And I grew, again, they were like family to me. They were like, you're always at their house. You're close with their family, their parents, their moms. And, you know, so one of the questions was, have you ever like hung out with your friend's mom without your friend? Like I used to do that all the time with their moms. Like I would be driving around by myself with nowhere to go, completely like fucking traumatized from something. And my friend would be nowhere in sight, but I would call the mom and she'd come over for tea. She'd hold space for me, let me sit there, talk with me, let me cry, just listen and love me. And I literally had like nobody, you know, during some of those times. And, you know, eventually she passed away. And then another friend, that mom also passed away. So it's like these friendships, even though they were toxic, it's almost like I gained so much from it though, right? Like you gain so much in other ways. And so I had those experiences with their mothers and their families for so long. But even the longevity of the friendship, it's like at some point it had to shift. It had to shift because it wasn't serving me and it wasn't serving them. And so, you know, making that choice to kind of like move away from that was really hard. And there was a lot of grief and sadness that came with that because I really wanted to have that support. You know, I really wanted to just have people in my life. But it's like, I think like so many years doesn't always equate to like healthy, loving, supportive, viable, nourishing friendship.
Right.
I definitely agree with that. And Tabby and I did actually break up for 1 year, but then we got back together.
And I remember I was just like, I'm remembering so much right now and just reflecting on our lifetime of friendship. But then like whenever I was like in another like friendship with someone else, like Christina knew it wasn't going to last. Like her intuition was so spot on every single time. And she'd be like, Tabby, don't you know, like this is not going to work out or whatever. And then I'd be like, no. And then I talk her into it. She'd be like, okay, we'll see. But I think, and that's like a big part of like what I feel like a friend who is like supporting you through shifts is like able to call you out on your bullshit without like hurting your feelings.
Yeah.
And Christina did that for me so much. Like her bullshit meter she gets it every time.
I don't have, there's no room for it. I'm like, nah, buddy. You're so full of shit, your eyes are turning brown. I'm just like, they are.
That is so good though, and I feel like that is that's a rare trait sometimes. I definitely do that, and I think I do that to a fault. Because well, I wouldn't say to a fault because I feel like I'm being true. Like I feel like I'm being that true friend. I feel like I'm being that authentic friend because I wouldn't say anything different if I was talking to my sister. You know, dude, like what are you doing? You know, or what are you thinking? Like, I feel like rather than not saying something would be a disservice, you know? Like I wouldn't be a good friend to them if I didn't say something. So I have that bullshit meter for sure. But
so, do you guys ever think though, like there's a time where you don't say something like
not often.
Yeah, I do. I definitely do.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm like that, and I don't know. I think, you know, when you say you say things right in an authentic way, or like call out kind of thing, like for their bullshit. I feel like, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you always have to call out the bullshit, or like, do you get to the point where you just like let them learn on their own?
I finally stopped calling bullshit out on one friend because I was over it. Like in the beginning, I felt like it was something where she was like, "You're right. Oh my God," like blah, blah, blah. And then it was something that was like, she just stopped listening. Like she just was like, put her headphones on and was like, couldn't hear me. And that's where I felt like I needed to distance myself in the friendship. And it was a hard decision for me because I had this person in my life for so long. And but the depth of our friendship is different.
Mhm.
So, you know, I just feel like I did pull back on my bullshit calling because I felt like it just wasn't being productive. It wasn't being heard, you know, and it was more upsetting me than anything.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I feel like the bullshit meter was like, I mean, I still have it. There's people that I meet and I'm like, you aren't even telling a real story. But anyway, I don't feel like I need that with my friends that I have now because I'm friends with like some really responsible people. I think in the sense of like, I think the only way I would ever like call you on your bullshit now is like the other day when you were talking about like your past and how it was like embarrassing. And I'm just like, my way of calling you on your bullshit now is like, your past is what brought you where you are. Like, get real, girl. But that to me is not like bullshit. It's just like, hey, have grace with yourself. Be true to yourself. Forgive yourself and understand that that's what brought you to where you are. But like, I don't really feel like in my adult life I need to call bullshit because I don't surround myself with people who are bullshitters. Like my favorite saying is you can't bullshit a bullshitter. And I can bullshit my way through anything. So just don't even, just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think that's like a part of that is like accountability. I guess like bullshitter is like the fancy, like the not fancy term for accountability. And, you know, sometimes I need like, especially if it's in my family life and like a fresh pair of eyes outside of whatever is happening to me in that moment and having like Christina be like, okay, this is what I see. But that it's way different now than it was like 10 years ago though. Like 10 years ago, I was trying to bullshit myself through like life. And I was like trying to pretend that everything was perfect and like everything was all that I needed. And I was in this like ridiculous relationship. I was like living in poverty and blah, 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 blah. And I was like making shitty friends. And like Christina in that moment was just like, you know, this is not good. This is not good. This is not good. And like, what are you doing? Because she knew me so well that she like, it's not that she expected more from me, but yeah, but a part of it is that she did expect more from me, but not in a way that she would make me feel guilty that I didn't do it that way because she would support me through my shifts. But it was, but now it's like it's grown to where she supports me and telling me not to be embarrassed and affirms me and validates me.
I think that when you were in that point where you're saying that I expected more from you, which I think I always had these expectations that you would expect more from yourself because I saw that in you. And it was like, we come from like the smallest place on the face of the earth. Nobody ever goes in. Nobody ever goes out. If you escape that place, it's like $1 million check to freedom. Like people, I love going there to visit, but I don't think that either one of us would have ever been successful had we stayed there. We would have ended up likely like a statistic of some sort. And I just don't think that either of us would have ever landed happy. And so to watch you escape that, you know, trauma that you survived and then to still be like settling for something that wasn't serving you, like I'll never forget the time that you told me that you got a ring. And I remember being like, oh, fuck no. Like, I literally remember saying to you, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. But deep down inside, I was like, how do I help her escape this? Like, I can't. And I remember you being like, talking about a wedding and like doing the things. And it's like, how do you support? That was the biggest struggle for me, because in that moment, I had to support you through something that I didn't support.
I've done that before. That's
Same.
hard.
That is fucking.
That's hard. But that's where I think it goes back to your question, Rachel, where you like are like, okay, do I let you learn this lesson, or how hard do I fight against what you're choosing to do?
But it's like, do you fight against it, or is it like something with us that we want to happen with with someone we love? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I had a very good friend who got remarried, like renewed vows or whatever with her partner, who was fucking abusive. And like, I could not like support that. Like I'm like, how, I was fucking felt stuck in that one, because it's like, I love you and I want you to be happy. And if this is what you want, then I tried to really be like, okay. But then on the other hand, it was like, spent fucking years like witnessing and listening to the abuse that she experienced. And then I'm supposed to support that, like, at her through that. So it's like, I literally like physically could not show up on time for that reunion.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I like came in late. It was, and I tried so hard to see like, why am I making this like, is this, I don't want to make this about myself, but like, what is it that I like can't align with, right? It's like, I love you. And eventually, went through with showing up for it. But in the long run, down the road, a couple years later, I'm still hearing the same stuff. It's still the same. So it's like, you love people and want to support them and show up for them in something that, maybe you just like cannot get behind. Like, and we're I don't know. Where do you like not?
I think that's where boundaries come in, right? Like, I think if it would have ever got to the point, I would have came to Tappy and been like, listen, dude, like, this is like authentically how I feel, and I just need to share it with you. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you how to feel, but I do need to like express this concern that I have. And I think that once you express the concern, once you have that hard conversation, if they still choose it, like, in my opinion, like, I just have to support them through it, because it's my job to be their friend. It's not my job. Like, it's not my job to be Tappy's mom. Even though I do feel like sometimes I have you under my wing. Well, maybe not now, but when we were younger. But I think that's like a boundary that's a shift that Tappy and I had to get through when we were younger, because I very much took on like I feel like sometimes I just like told you what to do, and you'd be like, okay. Yeah. Like, she'd be like, I don't know what to do in this situation. I'd be like, do this. She'd be like, okay. And it's like, that's somewhere where it was like, I came to the realization, like, I'm not her friend. I'm not her equal. I'm not her peer. Like, she's looking up to me, and I'm like parenting her through some decisions. And it's like, that wasn't good for either one of us.
Fuck. Yes. Yeah. I resonate with that.
But I think like, sorry, but that is like what I needed, because I honestly, like, living in the household that I had lived in and not knowing any boundaries. And I still I still look up to Christina. I admire her.
Only because I'm a foot taller than her.
That's so true. I do. literally look up to her. But I needed that like support like in my life because I had no idea how to do it because I had never been taught. And I saw her like succeeding and like paying bills on time and, you know, like eating healthy and like brushing her teeth. And I was just like, how do you do that? Because I honestly didn't have those skills. And I needed, and Christina was that person for me. And she was that person for me because I felt safe with her and I could come to her and I was able to like bear it all and just be like, you know, I don't know what to do here. I need help. And she would always help me. I'm glad that we're not there anymore. Because that was a shift that we had gone through, but, yeah, very happy to not be there anymore. And I hope that no one has to be in that position, especially like my kids now that we're like talking about boundaries and life and, you know, friendships and, you know, things like that. And hopefully they don't have to like come to that point in their life. But yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a beautiful shift. A lot of growth.
It's also interesting because when I first moved to Edmonton, I moved in with Tappy and she was my mom for a bit. So you did it for me too.
Yeah.
So important.
But I do think it goes back to like, just like the boundary, right? Like you were saying, Christina, it's just like let them journey their journey, you know, and not have to not have to parent or like say whatever kind of thing. To support them, to be the friend, let them have to go through their journey. I do think that's really important. Yeah.
Yeah, and like give your opinion if they ask for it, but if it's open, and they choose whether to accept it or not. But like then like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So give them what you think, and then let them be their own person. Otherwise, you carry that energy and you carry like that conflict. And Tappy and I were talking about this the other day because we both have like teenage girls, and it's like some crosses are just not yours to bear. You know, like everyone else's problems, you can be there to support them through it, but they're not yours to put in your backpack. So I think that by giving someone your opinion, to have those hard conversations and discuss those things, and then just release it, give it back to them. It's not yours to carry. And I think that took me personally so long to figure out because I'm a fixer. I'm a healer. I want to make everyone happy and I want to make everyone feel whole and I want to make everyone feel accepted. And so to see someone struggle like kills my soul, even if I don't know them. I saw a homeless person begging for change the other day and started crying in the car in front of my husband. And I was just like, I live in a major city in Canada. Like I see this at every intersection. Why? Like, I just wanted to go out and give him my bank card and be like, okay, here, just like go live a good, happy life. Like it kills my soul that people like hurt. But I also like, and I'm still learning, obviously, if I can't even like drive past somebody without bursting into tears, but like everyone else's problems are not yours to fix. And I think that if you're friends with somebody and you're constantly fixing their issues, then they're taking more from you than what you're getting. And it just needs to be 50-50. Like whether Tappy takes today and I take tomorrow, but like there needs to be a give and take.
Right.
Tappy's over there snapping like she's it ain't no thing.
I totally agree with that. And I think that's where I had to kind of step back a little bit because I felt I was being drained in a friendship where it just wasn't equal. You know, you shouldn't have to chase to be in a friendship with somebody. And, you know, if this person is constantly complaining about the same thing and you're constantly repeating yourself and saying the same thing, but nothing is changing. Yeah, I need to step back, you know.
It's like having like a friend who's a drug addict who keeps relapsing no matter how much help you give them.
Yeah.
Like you just can't change people. You can't help people who don't want to help themselves. And it's draining to try to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best thing is to just love people where they're at.
Yeah, like and sometimes you just have to say, like, I'm here if you need me, and release that shit.
Yes.
Yeah. Melissa Mann, one of my best friends and sisters. Hi.
Hi, Melissa.
22 years. She says healthy friendships definitely encourage growth and roles change with time. Love is the foundation for sure.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, definitely. Do we have a couple more questions?
Yeah.
Mama Callie said, sorry, before you say it, Taffy. Hi, Shannon, Herod, Rays. I love you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is that her best friend?
No, she's one of my friends, and I can relate to the story where Christina had to go pick up Tappy to bring her home to the hospital because I did that for her. I did that for her. And this person like basically left her at the hospital from that point on. And the baby didn't have a crib, didn't have anywhere to sleep. And I said, do you know where he works? And she said yes, because he wasn't returning her phone call. I said, okay, get your baby. We're going to introduce him to his child, and he's going to give me money right now. And I walked into his place of work, called him by his name. I said, your daughter is in the parking lot, and so is your baby mama. And I accept money, checks, or credit card, and I will be waiting outside.
Did he come?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He came, and she loves you too, Rach. And he came. He met his daughter, and he came to my house because she was staying at my house for the moment at the time. And he gave her money to get a bed for his baby to sleep. But you know what? And that's what friends are for, and that's what friends do. And sometimes we have to stand up for those that are not willing to stand up for themselves, or just don't have the energy to do it anymore, and hold space for those people. So
yes.
Yeah.
And I want to share, I have like friends as a woman. My friends that have shown up for me and supported me were not always women. When I was in 19, I think, I had a friend who was not going well at home for him. And so I lived on my own because since I was 17. So I opened up my home to him, and he came and stayed with me for a little while. And, you know, it was really nice, and we were good friends, and that was it. And then later on down the road, I was homeless, and he let me stay with him until I had figured out my shit, because I had nowhere to go. And so I was like on the couch. But friendships to me like come in so many different forms. And I feel like those people, maybe even though they're not long lasting, are definitely like those beings, those like higher beings in your life that come to really love you and be the light for you in those moments that maybe you can't see that. And so I just think it's, you know, important to remember that it looks different all the time.
Yeah. And like Shannon, you know, she's in a different state, and I haven't seen her in a long time, and you know, but we still kind of communicate off and on, and I really value and I appreciate her friendship throughout the years, and that's something that I won't ever forget, you know. And she, as much as I have been there for her, she's been there for me, and emotionally, mentally, and physically, those are things that I have to, and that I appreciate throughout my life. So
I swear to fucking God, Summer the dog barks every time you're talking.
Not my dog.
I'm sorry, that's my dog.
Every time you're talking, though,
Bentley.
it's talking to you, Summer.
I
Such a
know.
loser sometimes.
I am an animal whisperer.
I can't even hear your voice because I have my headphones in. It's just like he feels your energy.
I know.
He can hear us.
Dang.
We must be at a dog whistle.
I know, frequency.
Yeah, that's the word.
I know.
Okay, I have another question.
Yeah.
What advice can you give to maintain a healthy relationship?
Are you asking me?
Anyone.
Yeah.
It's for everyone.
I think like boundaries are always the answer for me. Like to be in a relationship with somebody who respects my boundaries and like vice versa, that's always going to be the answer. Because I think if you have boundaries, then you have everything else. I think everything else like falls under. And like know each other's core values. Know what you have in common, but also know what you don't have in common, and just respect the shit out of that and support it. Like no two people are ever, and I say this all the time when people are like, oh, I'm just never gonna find the perfect man. Well, no two people were built to be together forever without fighting. And that's friendships, that's relationships. I can't even go a whole year without fighting with my siblings, and I've known them for my entire goddamn life. Like, no two humans are ever going to be perfectly aligned in everything. So just respect each other.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I like that. Mine are compassion, like really have compassion for your friendships and the people that you're having relationships and friendships with, because everybody's doing their best with what they know and from their level of awareness and consciousness where they're at the time. And it might not be where you're at, and that's okay. And you might not be aware of some of the things that you're projecting and you're playing out in your subconscious mind, and you're, you know, experiencing in your reality that they might be able to see. So have compassion for yourself and for each other. I think that's really, really important. And leave judgment at the fucking door, because if you're in a space of just like totally judging somebody for what they do, what they've done, how blah 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 blah, like that's not a loving space to be in.
That shit is for enemies, not friends.
Exactly. We all live, we experience, we hopefully learn. And really, when we're judging somebody, we're really only judging ourselves anyway. And so I think those are really important. I don't really care to give advice, but because I feel like everybody has their own answers within them, right? So it's like, but if you're going to have a friendship or a relationship with somebody, have compassion, leave judgment at the door. And do you know who Brene Brown is? Okay, I love her shit. And have you ever seen her talk about like shame? So she talks about shame and how to have like one or two people to share your shame stories with, and like be really mindful of who you're doing that with. And, you know, before I used to just like tell like my friends like all this shit that weren't necessarily like ones that I could trust. And, you know, it was led to just being fucking judged and, you know, like all this other shit and toxic shit. And so I learned the hard way to really be mindful of what I'm sharing and who I'm sharing those deep, shameful experiences with. And I think my best friends, some of them don't even know. Like, I don't think I've told anybody some of the stuff that I've experienced that I felt a lot of shame around. And that's why I have a therapist.
Same.
Yeah. Did you want to go, Tappy?
No, you go ahead.
I could relate to all of those, and I would add communication, because nowadays, like, I've been in a texting war with my best friend, and then she'll be like, well, one of them, and she'll be like, well, that's not what I meant. And I'm like, well, that's what you said, but that's not what I meant to say. But so it's how we are perceiving what this person is trying to communicate. So don't have a texting war with your bestie, okay? Because it will get misconstrued. And I feel like communication is key, and that's in all my relationships, is just try to communicate. So communication, and yeah, I mean, I relate compassion with that, like what you were saying, Rachel, you know, and not judging. And like, I think we do I mean, for me, I pick and choose what I say to who. And I think it's just like the level of our intimacy and our, you know, and because I think it's important too to share those things that we feel shameful about, because it's a release for us, and then that person is choosing to hold space and not judge and say, you know, thank you for sharing that with me, or I'm here for you, or, you know. And I think that that's important, to find somebody that you can do that with. And if Rachel does that with her therapist, so be it, you know. And maybe I don't share everything with my besties, but I think it's important to share that with somebody. So communication and compassion, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love all of those. I think support, and I like, and validation, I guess, in a weird way. I'm just that person. Like, I constantly need to be here, that I like to hear that I'm loved, and that's just my own like trauma. But
we love you, Tappy.
I love you.
That's what every single one of our conversations starts with. Love you. And then it's like, love you so much. And then we just go into conversation.
And like, that is just something that I need. And I think that's like, for me, that's so important, like to like express my love for my friends, because I've always been that way. Like, I'm just always been like, I had to do that. I don't know why, but I just do. And I just like have to be like, I love you, and like, or hold your hand, or give you a hug, or like whatever. It's just always been a part of like who I am. And I think another one is like support. And I know like supporting one another in the accomplishments, or whatever we're trying to accomplish in our life. And like, when Christina was just like, I have 3 kids and I'm going to go to university, I was like, fuck yeah, bud, you got this. And like Rachel is a really great example of like, she shares your shit on Instagram. She's just like, she sees it. She's like, that bitch is doing something good today. And then she shares it. So, and celebrates that with other people. And I think that is really important for me too. And I think that's just like, I don't know what to call that, but that, I guess, support and love, expressing love and validation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I really like compassion. And I really like what Christina said. And I really like what you said, Summer. Like, I think it's just like, those are really good, like, foundational pieces, I guess, in a relationship.
Yeah, I love that.
Friendship.
If you put the four of us together, we would kill a relationship.
Live it.
Nail it.
Nail it.
Mama Cal says, I love that, Rachel. Compassion without judgment. I learned it from you. And then Mel says, grateful you have always been a safe space for my shame stories, Rach. And I know you will take that shit to the grave. Yeah, to the grave. It's in the vault. Always.
Yeah.
And right back at you. Thanks for listening to my shame stories and doing some real fucked up shit with me. Then Mama says, lift each other up. Yeah. Yes. Like, let each other shine, you know, in their own way. And yeah, like Tappy said, support in that way.
Well, and that's what I like too, is that like friends that celebrate each other and not, you know, like to celebrate each other because we're genuinely happy for what this person is doing in their life or what they're achieving, or just to be the beautiful person that they are. Celebrate them. You know, and I feel like that's something that is also, it just feels good to know that you are, like Tappy, supported. You know, we're supporting you through celebration, you know, and yeah, that's special. That's something that's important. Celebrate.
Love it.
Love it. My headphones are squishing my ears today. My head must be extra big.
But
Is it swollen? Do you have a big ego?
Big auntie head.
I love this. Thank you so much. Even like I can tell that I'm more comfortable because Christina's here in this space with us, because I've known her for 1,000,000 years. So
Yeah,
which is
we're dinosaurs.
we're practically dinosaurs. So it's
I think it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun. Rachel and I, we were talking about them. We're like, we want our friends on too.
What we should do, like next season, we should do something with like a friend, like, because we can have, I think, up to 8 people on at once or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that would
like,
be so cool.
Really expand, and then maybe play games like to see how, like, you know how they play like fucking games on dating shows, like who knows?
I was gonna say like a wedding, like who did what?
Like who does this and whatever. Yeah, because we could have some fun doing that. But
that would be a fun show. That would be. I'm sure we would hear a lot of craziness coming out.
It would be some major cackles too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I have one last question, and I think this one is the most important.
Okay.
In shifts, you will lose friends. How do you accept it, and how do you forgive it? Forgive it.
Well, for me, I feel like I haven't really like lost too many friends, but I feel like the level has changed. So where you feel like maybe you leveled up and that person didn't, that person stayed where they are comfortable, or just kind of stay where they're at. And you just have to, I think for me, it was realizing that was growth, and not so much of a loss, but something that was gained, but within myself. And I think it was just maybe looking from my perspective. So yeah, I think that was the only way to realize that it was a gain of self, and not so much of a loss, but looking at it through eyes of growth. You know, Yeah, I mean, that was just through my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure other people have different experiences.
I think for me, like the hardest part about shifting and losing friends is not to attach my self-worth to it. Like just because we grew apart doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. It doesn't mean that there's a character flaw that they don't like. It just means that we're like on different waves. We've, the biggest shift that I went through is like when I got married and had kids. I shed a lot of friends because I was no longer available to go out with my friendless kids who, were partying every weekend. Not that I ever went out and partied every weekend, but it's like, I was like that person that you could be like, oh, what are you doing Friday? Oh, let's go out. Let's hang, whatever. I would like drive to Calgary, like on a random, I would literally message Tappy on like a Friday and be like, what are you doing tonight? She's like, nothing. I'm like, I'm driving to Calgary. I'm coming to see you. Like, so I think that was like the toughest shift that I went through. And I had this idea that I had to like really, really try for those friendships, because in my mind, somehow it was like, I couldn't understand the growth for me with like, I'm just in a different stage of my life now. I really had to like reprogram my brain to understand that it's not that they don't like me. It's just that we're not aligned. And so I guess like, yeah, I have a really hard time like letting friends go because I really love and appreciate like connections with people. But I mean, part of that shift was learning that I don't need 100 friends to go for tea with 100 days of the year. I can go for tea with the same person 5 times and it's fine. Like, yeah, I think that just releasing that energy and letting that relationship go and understanding that people don't always move on the same, like you said, like some people level up.
Yeah.
I leveled up.
Yeah.
Level up.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, very similar. So I had very close friends in my 20s and late 20s and stuff. And then that kind of shifted. And I'll share a story. So one weekend I was with these friends and we were out, drinking a bit. This was years ago. And one girl was like, let's go to 20th Street. And so where I live, 20th Street is like a street that's known for, it's kind of like was known as the hood, and where the street workers or sex workers would be out, and it was like a bit of a rougher area in our city. And I was familiar with it because I grew up like spending time around that area, and I had family involved in a lot of street stuff. My mom was a street chick, so they didn't have that experience. They were from a completely different, lifestyle and background, and they wanted to go there just to see prostitutes and just to see the people on the streets. And it was really fucked up for me because those were my people. Like, those were Indigenous people, and they didn't get one reason why they were there. And I had to learn through experiences like that what kind of friendships I was attaching myself to find some sort of worth. And, it was those kinds of things, and with people that didn't come from where I came from. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. I'm just as good as them. But I never actually ever felt that way, because then things like that would happen. And it would just remind me of like where I actually really came from. And so I had to learn that it was about attachment. You know, those weren't actually deep, loving connections for me anymore at the time. I was attached to these toxic friendships and these friendships that I thought were going to, like, you know, support me in whatever way. But you know, eventually when I decided to move away from that, it was this like really heavy grief in a lot of ways, but I still had to learn. It was like a mental and emotional attachment. And when I processed that and I learned to like really just accept that those people weren't going to be in my life anymore, and some of them had been in my life for over like 15, 20 years at the time, I had to really see that underneath all that, I didn't feel like I could be myself with them. I didn't feel connected. I didn't feel like they actually saw me. I didn't feel like they heard me. I didn't feel like they really, truly loved me. And so what I always remember now is like my favorite quote by my favorite poet, and that's Rumi, and it's, "Do not grieve what you lose." Or do not grieve, because what you lose comes around in another form. And honestly, I have to say, like, had I not shifted out of those relationships, out of those friendships, I would not have evolved and be able to have friendships like I do today with some of the most fucking amazing people, you know, like Tappy and Summer, and some, you know, that were in my life still for 10, 15, 20 years. And then other people that I've met through soul connections and sisterhoods and just like this divine union and feeling. I wouldn't be able to experience that. So it's like releasing that, like you said, releasing that energy, Christina, and like really just trusting that what you're releasing is going to come in a new way, in a more beautiful way than maybe you can ever imagine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For sharing, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I totally get that.
Mm-hmm. I'm like trying to think of like I think you said pretty much like what ditto, I guess. But seriously, I think that was so beautifully said, and I think it's just it's just like a moment in your life that is just, you know, it just doesn't exist anymore. So like it's okay to move on or forgive, or hopefully the other person like accepts and forgives as well. But it's just like like, I don't know. I just try to like sum up experiences, especially when they're uncomfortable or provide any discomfort, that it is momentary. It's not always going to be there. And maybe you can like reflect on the good times that you had, or whatever, or you don't. It's all the shift. It's the shift, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the shift. The perspective shift, the healing, the expanding more love. Like, yeah, it's part of all of
Some
it.
things just dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what I was saying about looking at it from your perspective as something that's gained and not lost, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And also from Rachel's perspective, you know, you have to lose something sometimes for something greater to come.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And yeah, all of that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great stuff.
Welcome the shift.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
okay. It's
Yes.
okay.
Well, this was really nice. Thank you all for sharing and being so open and vulnerable, and, you know, showing up today, even though it's still
Smile. Thanks.
Still, still some heaviness people are experiencing, but thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing in the comments. Thank you, Christina, for joining us. It was
Thank
so
you
nice
for
to
having
hear
me.
you
This was
share.
it's so nice to see and talk to humans.
I know.
Half human, okay.
Yeah. Hey, the mothership's coming soon. It's gonna beam us up.
Yes, dude, my ship is coming too.
But yeah, thank you, Christina. And
Yeah, thank you.
it was
I actually had so much fun. Like I love talking with you guys.
well,
I'll be in the comments next week.
Yes. Are those tacos?
Those are like this.
I can't see.
Clapping hands?
Oh, clapping
Yeah.
hands. Oh, Shannon. You know what? And Shannon is such a sweet, sweet, sweet soul. And I really do miss her so much. And I know that our paths are going to intersect again soon. And people like that in your life that are supposed to be in your life will continue to stay in your life, whether the distance is super hundreds, thousands miles away, or you haven't seen them in years and years. You will find a reconnection again. So
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
I believe that. And those people are supposed to be there. So be open to that. And thank you for being with us tonight. And it was such a good conversation with all you ladies. And it's always a blessing to be with all of you guys.
Love your people and love them hard.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.